Guys, I must say that Manchester United, Manchester City derby was arguably, probably in terms of quality, the worst game I've seen in a while. That was an absolute joke. What a shit show that was. You know what? That was two teams, playing at 4:30. Um, an advertisement for the Premier League, and that was arguably one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life. The quality was non-existent, you know. What makes me laugh as well is that the quality was so bad. You've got these commentators bigging up someone like Bruno Fernandes because he might play a diagonal pass, and this just shows you, yeah, where the Premiership is at, because for too many times I've been hearing, the Premier League is the most competitive league in the world, it's the best league in the world. And let me tell you something now, as an advertisement for Premiership football, that was an absolute disgrace, as you can see in the title. That first half was so boring. There was nothing going on. And the second half wasn't that much better. I think in terms of performances for both teams, and as I said, we're going to get into it. I mean, people will start saying, Bruno Fernandes, because, and again, don't listen to these commentators, Gary Neville, etc. I watched the game and Bruno was decent, but did I think he was man of the match? I don't, But then again, I can't tell you who was man of the match because the game was that bad. The quality of the game was shocking. Like, that's one of the worst games I've seen for a while. That's meant to be a Manchester derby. And what was on display there for a 4:30 kickoff, to be shown around the world, that's what they dished up, because that was nothing short of embarrassing, and yeah, what I mean, this is two fallen teams, Man City, to be honest with you, Man City have a lot of work to do in the summer, and I mentioned, I believe it was yesterday, they need to go and get Florian Wirtz, If ever they need Florian Wirtz, this game just showcased it, because Kevin De Bruyne is absolutely finished and has been finished for years. Phil Foden has regressed, and again, Phil Foden is not the player that a lot of people thought he was going to be. Big up John for coming on. And as I said, they need to go and get Florian Wirtz in the summer, Man City, because that team there, that's not a team that's going to be winning the title anytime soon if they keep the majority of that squad, And Man City played their part in a poor game, There was not one bit of quality from either team. And as I said, Florian Wirtz needs, if Man City are serious, they're going to go and spend in the summer. They need to go and get a proper creator, because it's quite clear that Pep doesn't want to play Grealish in the 10 properly. It's quite clear that that Kevin De Bruyne is finished, and obviously he's leaving anyway. And it's quite clear that Phil Foden is not able to go and take the mantle in that attacking midfield. So they've got to go and buy some real quality to enhance that position, And as I said, Florian Wirtz needs to be made Man City's top target, because this is a fallen team, And as I said, they should get into the top four, Man City, because I think in the end they will get into the Champions League, whether it's top four or top five. I think in the end they'll get it, but they're a poor team as well, and yeah, they're a poor team, man. Big up Edit Goat. Guys, if you are watching, make sure you subscribe to my channel and you smash that like button. So if you watched that Man United Manchester City derby, let me know your thoughts, guys, because that was nothing short of one of the worst games I've ever seen, And as I said, Man United, I mean, in the first half, you can see United played very compact, you can see that they weren't really giving Man City anywhere to go, And this is the problem with Man City, Their plan A is pass, but not really go anywhere. Yeah, big up Edit Goat, man, big up. So obviously, Man City's Man City just pass. And again, when Erling Haaland's not playing, big up gamer, big up coming on, bro. What they tend to do, Man City, without Erling Haaland, they don't really have that long ball to play down the channels to use Haaland's pace or his strength. So with Marmoush playing there, obviously Marmoush does get involved in the game a lot more than what Haaland would. But what I would say is the quality going into Marmoush, De Bruyne was poor. Phil Foden was even worse. To be fair, Doku coming on, he gave them something, but again, in the long run, he ain't good enough. Yeah, gamer man, very good result for Newcastle. I expect Newcastle to beat Leicester tomorrow comfortably as well. But yeah, that Manchester derby was nothing short of a disgrace, man. I couldn't believe I watched 90 minutes of that game, and I can't even tell you what I enjoyed about it. That's the honest truth. There was no quality. I mean, if we go with Man United, you know, there wasn't too much going on. I mean, Xerxes coming on added that quality as we know he would anyway. Again, these commentators, Gary Neville, waxing lyrical over Bruno Fernandes. I mean, Bruno Fernandes just had a decent game, but the quality was so bad, it made him stand out, which just shows you how poor Premiership football is. And again, I'll say it again, a 4:30 advertisement for Premiership football, and that's what was dished up. And Manchester derby, that was that bad. I don't really know where both teams go from here. Again, Man United's main game is Europa on Thursday against Lyon. I'll be honest with you, if Man United play like that against Lyon, they're going to get beat because there was nothing going on. Defensively, they were solid, but I didn't expect anything other than them not being solid because Man City are a bit hit and miss this season. But going forward as a collective, it's just not good enough, and I'm sick and tired of watching United just pump balls into the pit, into the box, hoping someone gets onto it. It's just boring. And as I said, everything is geared towards the game on Thursday. And I honestly don't know what's going to happen because, again, this manager, Ruben Amorim, I must say I'm more or less done with him. If I'm honest with you, I'm done with him. I'm not really invested in this Man United shit show anymore, man. Because for too much time, for too long now, he's playing the wrong team. Starting Garnacho, Rasmus, and Bruno Fernandes as a front three is an absolute joke. Again, Ugarte, he brings Ugarte off again. Casemiro was very good today. And I don't trust this manager to play the right team. And again, I'm sick and tired of watching this football. And the problem is, I'll go as far as saying that, I wanted Eric Ten Hag out badly. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if Amorim's even better than Ten Hag. That's how bad it is. Because at least with Ten Hag, there was probably more goals in the team. I can't watch this crap. Like watching players just pump balls into the pitch and hopefully and the thing is as well, you can see the tactic from United in terms of Patrick Dorgu. Like Dorgu didn't have a great game today, but because Dorgu's physical, a lot of the time the ball just gets pumped to the back post just so he can use his strength to head the ball back into the area. There's no actual quality going on, and yeah, watching this team is just frustrating, man. It's just frustrating. But yeah, I don't know what to say, man. Like an advertisement for Premiership football, and that is what was dished up, So Gamer says maybe he needs a chance to sign some new players. But Gamer, this is the problem, and this is what a lot of these fans don't actually realise. You get a lot of fans saying he needs his own players. A good sign of any manager is that you use the players that you have already. We know full well that these players ain't good enough. But the problem is, these players ain't good enough. But as a coach, a top coach, as he's meant to be, you're meant to get the best out with what you've got. And he ain't getting the best out of anyone, really. I can't see a single player that I would say is improved. I think all these players are just doing what they've been doing, you know. And as I said, no manager is going to go and get a whole new 11. That's not going to happen because, for a start, you've got to buy time. You know, if you look at Pep Guardiola, he's earned the right to get his players in because, and look at this, man. This is what I mean about Sky Sports. They're trying to do this PR for Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne. Again, I've been hearing Kevin De Bruyne is the best Premier League midfielder of all time, and this performance won't tell you that, you know. But again, I want people to realize that don't listen to to the pundits, to Gary Neville, to the media, because these guys, I keep saying, are doing you a disservice. You know, I will never listen to these guys because I've got two functioning eyes, and I will be in control of my opinions and what I'm seeing. You know, and as I said, man, it was a poor showing. It was a poor showing, but the fact that he started with that front three, you know, and obviously you can see why he played that front three because he needs the legs. Well, he wanted to play with more runners, and with more runners you get less quality. You know what I mean? Which is why that first half was shit. Second half, as I said, was slightly better, but that's because, you know, he brought on a Xerxes, who, again, why was he on the bench? These are the kind of things that this manager's doing, which is pissing me off, really. And going back to what I just said, so no manager gets their own 11. They've got to earn the right. This manager hasn't earned the right to get his own team in. He hasn't, because the team are performing the worst it has in the league for how many years, you know. And I don't care if it's a case where he hasn't got his own players, because as a good coach as he's meant to be, you've got to use the players that you have. And he's obviously not doing that, you know. So, yeah, man, it's ridiculous. But that is true. He needs to get the most out of his players. Eddie Howe got the... Well, yeah, there you go, man. Joe Linton was a striker under Steve Bruce. And Eddie Howe's come in and he's made him... I mean, I have to say, he's made him one of the best midfielders in the league. Do you know what I mean? And that was Eddie Howe seeing something in Joe Linton and just thinking to himself, you know, he'd be best suited to playing as a box-to-box midfielder using his physical attributes. And look at Joe Linton now, you know. I'd have Joe Linton in this midfield because that's how bad Man United are. And, yeah, so their opinions is their own opinions, no point. Yeah, as I said, man, like, the problem is with the likes of Gary Neville. Gary Neville's got a massive reach, you know, and a lot of people that are not really invested in football or haven't watched the game will just go off his every word. But there's a reason why Gary Neville is in the studio, because he's a failed manager. You know, he's an ex-pundit. I mean, he's ex-pundit. He's an ex-manager that didn't get the job done at Valencia. And now, obviously, he's in the studio. And a lot of what he says, a lot of people hang on to what he says. And again, if you're not watching the game, then you just listen to what he says, because he said Bruno Fernandes is the only player with real quality on the pitch, which, again, isn't true. But if Gary Neville thinks that, then again it shows you why Man United are where they are, because this guy Bruno Fernandes has been given everything, and look where Man United are in the league. And again, it's not solely down to him, but he's the captain, and the team performing like this as a captain, you know, it's poor, man. It's either you blame Bruno Fernandes or you blame the manager, because the manager decides to pick these certain players, you know. So usually the new manager and get Eze. Yeah, listen, as I said, man, Man United need a few players, but I honestly don't know. I mean, I think you got to trust the likes of Jason Wilcox and Ineos to see who they're going to bring in, because the names that United have been linked with, you know, I must say, like, they are good links. You know, Liam Delap I like. I think the thing with Liam Delap, though, what I would say is that he's a must that comes in if Højlund is guaranteed to be gone. Because that guy, as I said, he's the worst striker in the league. He offers absolutely nothing. So if you can try and move Højlund out and get Liam Delap in, then that would be a good signing, because Liam Delap's by far a better player than Højlund. And then you go and get a Victor Osimhen if you don't want to play Xerxes up top. You know what I mean? Um, I trust Wilcox. You know, Tyler Dibbling as well. He's someone that needs to be bought. Southampton have gone down, so that'll make United's bargaining position with Southampton a lot stronger. And I think he's someone that is definitely needs to be brought in. He's got quality, you know, and his combinations with Ahmad, you know, will be frightening down that side. But yeah, this was a Manchester derby, and it just shows you how much the quality has fallen from both teams, because Man City are nowhere near. They're nowhere near the team that they were, and they need a lot of investment. And as I said, they need to go and get Florian Wirtz in the summer and make him their main target, because if they don't go and get a Florian Wirtz, for argument's sake, and go and invest in, I look around their team, Man City, and I think they might need a new keeper. You know, I'm not sure if Ederson wants to be moved on, but they might be looking at that. I think right back is a certainty. Obviously, Carl Walker's gone, but Matthias Nunes ain't a right back, and he ain't good enough there. Rico Lewis, I thought Rico Lewis, when he come onto the scene, I thought he was promising, but I'm not too sure about him no more. So they might need to invest in the right back. I know they were linked with Andrea Cambiaso from Juventus, but a right back is definitely needed. If I look at left back, I mean, is Gavardio going to be there for the long term at left back? You know, because Gavardio is actually a centre back, but obviously he's adept at playing both positions. But are they going to go and get an attacking left back to play that position? Or are they going to try and give Nico Riley a chance there? I don't know. Centre backs, I think Ruben Diaz has dropped off. Ake's very injury prone. Akanji, you know, he's been out injured as well. John Stones, again, like De Bruyne, I think he's injury prone and finished. So they might need investment in the centre backs, right back, left back. Midfield, for me, obviously Rodri coming back will make a massive difference. They've got Nico Gonzalez, and if Nico Gonzalez is their understudy to Rodri or backup to Rodri, then they might not need to go and invest in that position. But going forward in midfield, again, Gundogan, top player, but clearly his legs are gone. Kovacic, I don't think he's good enough and should be a squad player. Bernardo Silva, I must say, Bernardo Silva was one of my favourite players in the Premiership. I must say now, he has dropped off massively. You know, I look at Bernardo Silva now, and he's just someone that just keeps the ball ticking over. You know, he's obviously tenacious, keeps it ticking over. But in terms of his quality seems to have left him, which is a massive problem. So again, his future might be in central midfield, but is he good enough long term? Don't know. Again, we spoke about the number 10 position where De Bruyne has been playing. He's moving on. Phil Foden, for me, isn't good enough. So they need to invest there. On the left, Doku's not good enough. Grealish is good enough, but doesn't get much game time. And will he be staying? On the right-hand side, you know, I think in Savinho and Oscar Bob coming back, who's a very good player, I think that's the strongest part in terms of their future, you know, which I think those two players will get better. And I don't think they need investment on that side there. So I think they're secure there. And then obviously strikers, they've got Erling Haaland and they've got Marmoush, two options there. So I think they've got players there that they can go forward with. But I think on the whole, the majority of their team needs revamping because, you know, they're obviously a stark contrast to what they used to be. And we talk about Man United needing 5 players. I think Man City need as much as 5 players as well, which is mad when you think about it. But yeah, big up, man. So let me see. If I was manager, I would get rid of most of them United players, get that wage bill away, and add better attributes. Of course, man. Of course. The thing is with this manager, you know, I don't necessarily think there's nothing wrong with the 3-4-2-1 system. But big up Chinwendu Ezechi, big up for coming on. But what I would say is that it depends on if Ineos are going to keep this manager to the end of the season. Because I believe if he doesn't win the Europa and United finish in the bottom half and finish as low as 15th, How can you go into a new season with a manager performing like that? Yeah, bro. No worries, man. No way, man. No worries, Chimendu. No worries. How can you go into the new season with with a manager that's performed like that? Because me personally, I don't see how he keeps his job. That's the honest truth. I don't see it. And obviously, if a new manager comes in, I can guarantee you the new manager won't want to be playing three at the back. So I think in terms of the signings, I think we have to keep caution because, as I said, I don't really know what's going to happen in the summer because if Ineos have got anything about them and this manager finishes the season the way he does in the bottom half as low as 15th and United don't win Europa, I think if they got anything about them, they have to sack this manager, because it's not good enough. But let's just say he stays. There's been rumours that he only wants two players, which I don't believe. But who is he gonna target, man? Because that Man United team needs revamping. As I've said before, the players that I'm keeping from this whole squad, you know, are Lenny Yoro, Mazraoui, Delict, Kobe Mainu, Amad Diallo, Joshua Zirkzee, Patrick Dorgu, obviously new signing. They're the only players I'm keeping, from this Man United squad. If we're being serious, I know obviously. Obviously players that are on higher wages like Casemiro, I would keep him for his experience. But again, if Ineos are trying to cut the wage bill, then he's going to be one of the first ones because he's the highest earner there. But the likes of Bruno, Garnacho, Rasmus Højlund, these guys need to be moved on. I'm sick and tired of seeing, this whole Bruno Fernandes, he, as Gary Neville is saying, he's the one player with quality in this team and all this nonsense. Bruno Fernandes is one of those players that he can play poor one week and then the next week he might get a goal or have a decent performance, and all of a sudden these fans want to start keeping him. Like the same energy isn't being kept for all players, and for Man United to go in a different direction, this player eventually needs to be moved on. I don't think he'll be moved on in the summer, but I want to see what goes on next season because if it's more of the same where this guy plays week in, week out, Man United ain't going anywhere because you can't have someone like Bruno Fernandes as your main creator. He isn't that player. He isn't that player, unfortunately. But yeah, no, big up Chinwendu Ezechi for coming on. Yeah, no worries. Who is your favourite footballer again? So my favourite footballers are Ronaldinho, Messi, and R9. If I'm picking three, obviously there are other players as well, but them three are my top three. I would say. But yeah, man. Yeah, tough watch, man, for a Manchester derby, and again, City find themselves. I think that point keeps them in fifth, I believe, because Chelsea got a draw as well. And this top four race, it's going to be interesting because, I think probably at the moment, Arsenal are the only certainties, I would say, as they're a few points ahead of Nottingham Forest in second. But again, the next two games could change because City or Chelsea or Forest or Newcastle could win the next two games. And if Arsenal don't pick up any points in the next two games, the pressure's going to be on. So we'll have to wait and see, man. But as I said, Manchester Derby, that was arguably the worst game I've seen in a while. There wasn't not one bit of quality in this game. Yeah, man. It's a crying shame for advertisement for Premiership football at 4:30, and this is what they dished up, as I keep saying, because it was poor. But again, all roads lead to Thursday. Obviously next week coming on. I'm looking forward to this week coming up. You've got Champions League games. You've got Bayern Munich, Inter Milan. You've got PSG, Aston Villa, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund. Obviously Arsenal, Real Madrid, and there's one more. Who's the other game? Was that it? No, yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, you got all these games coming up, and obviously Europa coming up, United, Leon. So everything's going to be geared towards that, and in the day, man, this first leg is gonna be what matters, because if United don't win this Europa League, it's gonna be problems, man. Um, yeah, Chelsea drew, man, 0-0 with Brentford, which, to be honest with you, going to Brentford is not an easy game. So I kind of expected Brentford to pick something up. And yeah, Tottenham beat Southampton 3-1. Again, that relegates Southampton, which is no surprise. And Tyler Dibbling, for me, he's someone that needs to be snapped up, man, for sure. And I think if United don't sign Tyler Dibbling, I think someone else will. And again, they've reported some crazy fee, which ain't gonna happen. They're just trying to, you know, ward off obviously suitors, but he'll be in demand. And I'm hoping that Jason Wilcox's links obviously get that deal over the line, because he's a player that's got much needed quality, and he will add to this team for sure. So yeah, yeah. No, listen, Brentford are a good team, man. Like, they're a tough team, and as I said to you already, man. If Newcastle are serious, they go and get Embuemo, and if they're being serious, they go and get Embuemo and Vissa in the summer. I think Embuemo and Vissa would turn them two alone, and as part of the strike force, what they've got already, and a centre back and a goalkeeper to improve on Nick Pope. I tell you now, that team there could arguably challenge for the title with them additions, because if you've got Isak and Vissa as your two strikers, again, Vissa's very underrated, and if you've got them two as your strikers batting it out, obviously Isak will be first choice, but Vissa's a good option to come off the bench, or if you want to go two up top and change it. And then if you've got Embuemo on that right-hand side, again, him and Vissa have a partnership already. And then you've got Gordon and Isak on the that have a partnership already as well. If they can get those two in, which again ain't going to be easy, to go with that midfield three of Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joel Linton, and then you get a top-class centre-back in and a goalkeeper, that's going to be a frightening team, I think. So, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see, man. But yeah, if you get Champions League, that's a possibility. And again, if Newcastle was to target Embuemo and Vissa, both players will go there as well. And I think, if you was to part with probably 80 to 90 million on both players, you're getting them both. So I think Newcastle need to be strongly looking at that. I know obviously they've been linked with Hugo Ekatike, but I think if they get proven Premiership proven in Embuemo and Vissa, to go with Isak, to go with what they've got already, that's going to be dangerous, I'm telling you. So we'll have to wait and see, man. But yeah, guys, quick little stream. As I said, man, I had to vent my frustration on this game, because it was an absolute joke, man. It was a poor advertisement for Premiership football. And again, Premier League football, we keep hearing it's the best league in the world. What a complete lie. If people think it's the best league in the world, it's not. It's the most competitive league in the world, in terms of you've got a lot of teams battling for the same positions. But in terms of quality, it's probably the worst in the world, because Spanish league, Italian league, probably even the German league as well, for quality is a lot better. This league is a joke, man. It's declined so much. And again, it just shows you that the kind of players that we have to watch in this era is it's the advertisement for why football is shit now. So and the Premiership is playing its part, man. What a poor game that was. But yeah, guys, big up everyone for coming on. As I said, if you haven't smashed that like button already, it's just one click of the button. Make sure you smash that like button. And again, make sure you subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. And as I said, I'm on 918 subscribers, obviously on the road to 1K. Yeah, big up Dylan, bro. Big up for coming on. As I said, yeah, make sure you smash that like button on the way out, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. And guys, yeah, let's help me push up to 1K and hit that milestone, And as I said, I'll be back tomorrow. Probably be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock, 12:30. Obviously, hopefully there's some news breaking about Man United because, again, I need some positive news because today was an absolute joke. But yeah, obviously, as I said, everything's geared up towards Thursday, Europa League, and we'll see what team he picks. But it's a crucial game. But yeah, guys, big up everyone for coming on. Smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.